प्रधानमंत्री जी को आमंत्रित करते हैं IFSC हेडक्वार्टर्स भवन का शिलान्यास करें। NSE IFSC SGX कनेक्ट का लॉन्च करें। IIBX का लॉन्च करें।
IFSCA एक एनेबलर भी बनेगा, इनोवेशन को सपोर्ट करेगा और इस सब के साथ ग्रोथ अपॉर्चुनिटीज के लिए एक कैटालिस्ट का काम भी करेगा। अनेक महत्वपूर्ण पड़ावों को आज हमने पार किया है। इनसे 130 करोड़ देशवासियों के सामर्थ्य को आधुनिक वैश्विक अर्थव्यवस्था से जुड़ने में और मदद मिलेगी।
Gift City today is recognized by the Global Finances Cities or Global Financial Centers Index, which is something which is located in London, recognizes global financial centers in funds, venture capitalists, private equity funds, or hedge funds. All of them are looking at this jurisdiction for pooling of global funds that can be invested in India.
Hello and welcome to this special program. It is natural that financial market participants are focused on how markets are here and now. While this is well and good, we must also work towards developing new financial infrastructure as the country looks ahead. This program is an attempt to throw some light on one such effort. I'm talking about the Gift City and the International Financial Services Centre, which is present there. Now, Prime Minister Narendra Modi, back in 2007, as Chief Minister of Gujarat, conceptualized the idea of the Gift City, and the vision was to create a financial centre that can compete with the likes of London, Tokyo, Shanghai, etc. The place is spread over 886 acres in Gandhinagar, and it consists of a multi-service SEZ, which houses India's first International Financial Services Centre, IFSC, and an exclusive domestic tariff area, a DTA. Let's talk about the IFSC itself, that is the International Financial Services Centre. Well, simply put, an IFSC caters to customers outside the jurisdiction of the domestic economy. Such centres deal with flows of finance, financial products and services across borders. London, New York, Singapore and a few others can be counted as global financial centres, and now GIFT IFSC is aiming to be one among them. In recent events, the Prime Minister inaugurated the India International Bullion Exchange, the IIBX, and the NSE IFSC SGX Connect. That's a connect between both the stock exchanges. Since the IFSC is a place which operates by specially designed rules, it needs a separate regulator as well. So the government in 2019 established the International Financial Services Centres Authority, the IFSCA, which is a unified regulator for IFSCs in India. IFSCA, the regulator, lays down the rules and it assumed the powers of 4 domestic sectoral regulators, namely the RBI, SEBI, IRDAI and the PFRDA. I caught up with the chairperson of IFSCA, Mr. Injeti Srinivas, recently and began by asking him on the efforts to develop the Gift City as a global financial centre and the kind of players that are now calling the centre their home.
With respect to how it is developing, it has developed in a phased manner. 2015, actually, the IFSC at GIFT was operationalized. And from 2015 to October 2020, it was being managed by the domestic regulators, the 4 domestic regulators. So what you had was the enabling framework which was put in place by the domestic regulators. It is in October 2020 that the IFSCA was established as a unified regulator, and it took over the development and regulation of the IFSC. In the last 2 years, there has been a significant growth in the IFSC, Just to illustrate, in the banking sector, prior to October 2020, we had only one foreign bank, and today you have 8 foreign banks, and you have 22 banks here with a combined balance sheet of 35 billion USD, which was around 14 billion USD when the IFSC was set up. So there is a exponential growth. Similar experience has been in other sectors like the funds, alternative investment funds. These are growing very rapidly. The 2 international exchanges here, they are also, the volumes are growing quite rapidly. So in the last 2 years, the IFSC has made rapid strides, which is based on the strong foundation which was set up by the domestic regulators way back in 2015.
Say Bank X, which has a presence in India, has got an Indian entity operating and sort of offering services. When we say that bank has set up at IFSC, just the mechanics of it.
Okay.
Yeah, and what is the need to be present in IFSC, and what can it do operating out of the IFSC, which it cannot do otherwise in other parts of the country? Yes.
Okay. So again, here I would say that conceptually you look at it as India as one country has 2 financial systems. So one is the domestic financial system and one is the international financial system. And the international financial system is operative in the IFSC. Just as we have 200 odd special economic zones, we have one international financial services center. So it's a very unique platform where you are effectively treated as an offshore jurisdiction. So when, let us say, State Bank of India opens a branch in New York, it is guided by the regulatory framework of the Fed. And it has all those opportunities, business opportunities, which are available internationally. Similarly, when State Bank of India opens a branch here, it is like an overseas branch of State Bank of India, and they enjoy all the benefits and facilities which they enjoy at other offshore jurisdictions. Let me again put it in perspective in terms of the special benefits which banks get here. For example, look at HSBC. HSBC has been present in India for over 150 years. It has been set up here 1.5 years back. Today, it has a balance sheet of 3.5 USD, which is 20% of its India balance sheet built over 150 years. So in other words, they could build a balance sheet of this size in 1% of the time, which 1% of the time they could build 20% of the business they have built in the domestic area. Being here, they can lend to the domestic economy. It will be like ECB. They can provide trade finance. We also allow things like aircraft leasing. We allow activities like acquisition finance, which are not available to the banks in the domestic area. So one is that they have the international environment. They have the benefit of full convertibility. They can access the Indian market just as they access it from Singapore or Hong Kong. They have cost advantage. They have the advantage of a unified regulator and regulations which are globally aligned.
So that example that you gave, I think that's very useful and very well explained. HSBC in IFSC is not HSBC India, but it's an offshore entity operating. And when an Indian corporate goes to borrow money overseas and sort of arranges loans through HSBC and goes to London, etc., New York or wherever, it can do that here in IFSC via the HSBC entity at the same terms, right?
Not only that, for example, many of these banks, foreign banks, they also invest through FPIs. So much of HSBC's investments into the Indian capital market was being channelized through the Singapore branch. Now that is gradually migrating to the unit they have set up in the GIFT IFSC. So you are in a way encouraging India-centric business to re-domicile to GIFT rather than being conducted from offshore jurisdictions like Singapore or Hong Kong or Mauritius.
Are taxation regulations, etc., all now globally aligned, or is that still work in progress?
So see this. This we'll have to understand that as far as the Indian Income Tax Act is concerned, the entities here are domestic entities. So whatever tax regime is applicable in the domestic area is applicable here unless a carve out has been given. And in that context, to be competitive with other offshore jurisdictions, GIFT units enjoy a tax holiday of 10 years over a 15-year period. So that is a great advantage they have. Second, there are some special carve-outs. For example, if you want to invest in as a non-resident in the Indian capital market, if you come through the domestic gateway, you will have to have your PAN and you will have to file annual returns. Whereas if you invest it through the GIFT jurisdiction, you don't have to have a PAN and you don't have to file annual returns. So there are simplified procedures to that extent. And for non-residents, especially individuals, it becomes much more easier to access the Indian capital market. It also offers similar advantages to residents. For example, now if a resident wants to invest in foreign securities, they can use the GIFT platform. At present, you don't have foreign companies listing in the GIFT because it's still early days. But recently, a very innovative product was listed in the NSE IFSC, which is unsponsored depository receipts of American securities. These are tokenized receipts which are issued here, and it is in the depository, international depository here, and traded on the exchange. So, and tokenized because some of these foreign securities, they are very expensive. They could be $2,000 per share. Now that can be fractionalized into 100 units. So you democratize the ownership of foreign securities. A lot of residents can also then invest in foreign securities and have better control, because it's just like investing in the Indian stock market. You will have complete information of what is the stock price, and you can buy, you can sell. So those advantages also are there. So on the retail side and on the institutional side, on both sides, a lot of opportunities will open up.
Apart from the regulations and the tax codes and the physical infrastructure, there is also, these are also by themselves great cities. Is that also a focus area to develop this place as, in terms of just the social setting? What is being done in that regard, if you can outline for us?
Yeah, that's important, but you'll have to look at it from a different perspective. If you look at a financial center, I'm not talking about New York and London, but if you're talking about a financial center like, say, Dubai, then there's a lot of focus on lifestyle and all the infrastructure and everything, because they want global business to gravitate to Dubai. There is no domestic economy per se where those players will be interested in operating. But when it comes to India or China, for that matter, the real attraction is the market, the domestic market, and the potential there. So infrastructure of that nature, of that quality, is a secondary requirement. But having said that, I don't know if you have visited the GIFT City. It is truly international standard, and it is very impressive, and it is growing rapidly. In the first 10 years, the GIFT City authorities had sold 10 million square feet of development rights, and in the last 1 year, they have sold 11 million square feet of development rights. So it shows that there is traction, and the real estate market is very upbeat. And I'm sure it will not long before international players in the retail business will also be looking at GIFT very intently.
Well, that was the IFSCA chief, but the Gift City in Gandhinagar balances itself to two important pillars. We'll tell you all about that on the other side of this quick commercial break.